you about starting the Prozac. Do you know whether she did start the Prozac?
Yes, she stated that she started the Prozac on the 22nd of November.
Okay. And by November 25th of 2022, did you start having some MyChart communications with Lindsay Clancy?
I did.
And so just referring first to November 25th of 2022, fair to say that you gave her or sent her a MyChart message encouraging to kind of stick with the plan, right?
Correct. Prior to that, yes.
At that point, had you prescribed her something to help her sleep outside what you had previously provided or outside what she had?
Before November 25th, I did not.
Okay, so on November 25th, did you prescribe her some additional medications?
I did. So she wasn't tolerating the Prozac, so we had a conversation about stopping the Prozac. I gave her, she was really having a hard time sleeping, so I gave her a one-time dose of Ambien. And then I also prescribed mirtazapine, which is another antidepressant, but it works really good for sedation and anxiety. So started that at 7.5 milligrams, told her to stop the Prozac. And I also paired it with Klonopin, but I told her explicitly not to take the Ativan, just to take the Klonopin to help. It's longer acting benzodiazepine to help her with sleep and longer acting anxiety support while we got this new medication up and running.
And so in your conversations with her about her concerns about the Prozac, fair to say she reported to you that she was feeling disconnected, out of it, a little bit spacey. Does that sound right?
Yes, that's correct.
And so you said your recommendation at that point was to discontinue the Prozac.
Correct.
And as far as the Prozac went, she hadn't taken it for very long, had she?
She took it for 3 days.
3 days?
Correct.
And again, you had that conversation with her about kind of waiting it out for the 4 to 6 weeks. But based on what she was reporting to you, did you have any concerns about her stopping the Prozac after only 3 days?
When a client doesn't have buy-in to the medication, it's awful. It doesn't work as well. So I was working with Lindsay to try and find a medication that would make her feel more comfortable. She was feeling very uncomfortable, very anxious, and the Prozac, she just wasn't tolerating the activation from the Prozac. So mirtazapine is a little bit more calming, which I thought she would resonate with better.
Okay. And so again, this is not one of those follow-up visits on a telehealth or a face-to-face. So were you relying heavily on what she was reporting to you?
Yes.
And again, in that MyChart message, you did indicate to stop the Prozac, Benadryl, and Ativan, and don't take while taking Klonopin, right?
Correct.
And in your practice as a psychiatric nurse practitioner who prescribes medication, is it common that you have to kind of trial different medications to find the right one to work for any given patient?
Yes, it's pretty common practice in psychiatry.
And fair to say, there's no way to anticipate how a particular patient is going to respond to any particular treatment, medication treatment.
Correct.
So after prescribing the Klonopin, the mirtazapine, and giving her that single dose of Ambien, did you do anything or set anything up to follow up with her after changing those prescriptions?
I just told her to she can MyChart message me over the weekend. It was the holiday weekend. So I made sure she knew I was available to answer her questions.
And fair to say she did, in fact, MyChart. You sent you MyChart messages over the course of that weekend, correct?
She did, yes.
And so starting at 7:51 on November 26th, she reported to you kind of how that night went, didn't she?
Yes.
Where she said, I did better last night. I took 7.5 mirtazapine and 0.5 Klonopin at bedtime, slept fairly well on and off until 3:45. And then she asked, do you think increasing the mirtazapine will help me stay asleep longer? I can survive like this, but would be helpful to get to sleep until at least 5. Thoughts? Thank you, Lindsay.
Yes.
Did you respond to that message?
I did.
And what did you advise her to do when she asked about increasing the mirtazapine and wanting to stay asleep longer?
I said she could trial the 15 milligrams.
And again, is that something that is common for you to do in prescribing, that maybe you have to adjust the dosage?
Yes.
Did you have any concerns that increasing the mirtazapine up to 15 would have had any issues or problems.
No.
And then again, on November 27th, you had a correspondence with her starting at 9:59 a.m., where she again reports to you how she did that night. Is that something you encourage her to do, to just give you a nightly or like a follow-up the next day, check in to let you know how she was or what she was experiencing by way of symptoms?
I do that with a lot of clients that are really anxious. I like to make myself available to them so that they have that reassurance.
Okay. So this wasn't kind of unexpected.
It wasn't out of the ordinary for me.
And so on the 27th, she indicated she slept well, taking the 15 mirtazapine and the 0.5 Klonopin, feel rested but super disconnected with myself and reality, and describes it as a scary feeling, thinking of stopping Klonopin tonight and just taking the mirtazapine. Do you recall that
I do.
communication? And she acknowledges that I've only taken it 2 nights, so that should be right, okay? Or, sorry, I've only taken it 2 nights, so that should be okay, right? Do you recall her asking that?
She's referring to the Klonopin, and yes, she did. She was really anxious about being dependent on benzodiazepines, so I think her goal was to not be on them. And if she was going to, the disorientation might have been because of all the sedation from the mirtazapine, which is a common side effect, which is why we chose that, and she knew that. And adding the Klonopin, maybe removing that, might have helped with some of the sedative factors for it.
So did you find there to be any issues with stopping the Klonopin or her deciding not to take it after 2 days?
No, I did not.
And in fact, you indicated and told her that should help with the disorientation, right?
Yes, it might.
Okay. And so that was on November 27th. And fair to say that there was another communication via MyChart on November 28th with Lindsay Clancy.
Yes, there was.
And at this point, she was asking for, or there was some back and forth about needing a note for work, correct?
Correct.
And is that something that you had talked about with her, about getting another note for work?
Yes, that's what I do that often.
And in fact, you kind of went back and forth with her, and ultimately she said never mind, that she didn't qualify for short-term disability anymore, and she's just going to be on personal leave.
Correct.
So on the 28th, there was no back and forth about her taking the medicine and the effects or how she was feeling?
She actually had a panic attack earlier in the day before those communications about work, and I recommended she take 0.5 of Ativan and go for a run. And I also recommended that she consider doing the partial hospitalization program at women and infants.
And what was her response to the recommendation for the partial hospitalization program?
At that time, she felt it wasn't going to work logistically for her or her family.
Okay. And why did you recommend maybe going for a run?
To get rid of some of the adrenaline from the anxiety. And running has been a really good thing for her in the past, and I thought it would help calm her down.
Okay. Now on November 29th of 2022, that was the first day that she actually met with Rebecca Gelada, but you had some conversation with her, or she sent you a message, I should say, earlier in the day, correct?
She sent me a message earlier in the day, and at that time I wasn't working that day, and Rebecca had an opening, so I offered the appointment with Rebecca for her. So I didn't actually communicate with her that day.
Okay, but you did receive her message at 6:05 a.m., where she reported that at that point she took 15 Remeron and CBD and it only worked slightly.
Correct.
So how did you get from what you have told us now was the mirtazapine, or that's Remeron, right?
Correct.
How do we get from just the mirtazapine with not the other, without the Klonopin or without some other?
The Klonopin was an as-needed medication. So I honored her choice to be able to decide whether she wanted to take that or not.
Okay. So after this panic attack, after the communication about the work form, she reports the next morning that she took the 15 of the mirtazapine or Remeron, and then she was having some sleep issues, right?
Correct.
And that she tried breathing meditation and muscle relaxation, but that she ended up having to take the Ativan.
Correct.
Now, had you had any conversation with her in this back and forth in these MyChart messages about whether Ativan was something that she should continue to take?
It was understood that she wouldn't take it unless until I had that conversation with her. I was under the understanding that she wouldn't be taking it while taking the Klonopin.
But she had told you she wanted to discontinue the Klonopin.
Correct.
And so you said as of November 30th that you had then fully transferred care.
I let her know that I would be leaving the clinic, and I thought it would be best if she saw a clinician that was working 5 days a week.
And Rebecca Gelada, is she a clinician that works at the clinic?
Correct.
And had you worked with her for quite some time?
She had been in the clinic, I think, for 2 years, I believe, at the time.
And you said that you had recommended on the day before, on the 29th, that she set up that meeting with Rebecca because she was available.
Correct.
So it just was kind of happenstance that she ended up with Rebecca, or?
I was in the process of transferring all of my patients between Rebecca and our new hire, and Rebecca was an experienced clinician, so I felt she would be a better match for Lindsay.
Okay. And as far as when you sent or communicated to Ms. Clancy that you were transferring her care, that was via MyChart message, right?
Correct.
And Lindsay then responded to you, or do you recall if she responded to you? I'm sorry.
He did respond to me saying thank you for the care that I provided. She appreciated it and wished me luck.
Did you have any other contact with Lindsay Clancy after that point?
No, I did not.
And just to be clear, so when we were talking about moving from November 28th to the 29th in time, did you have a phone call with her outside the MyChart messages about that panic attack? Or do you recall having entering a progress note about that?
I do remember entering a progress note about that.
Okay.
And that's when I told her to go for the run. I made the recommendation for the PHP.
Did you ever have any further contact with Sue Clancy about Lindsay Clancy's care after that first contact on November 20th, 2022?
I don't recall that.
I have no further questions at this time.
Councillor Casey, Sandra.